Hey guys, so in this video I'll be telling you about my experience as a dungeon master. Let's get started. Yesterday I DM'd for the second time and we managed to make it through the entire quest. So yeah, that went well. Figured I'd do a video over it. So I wound up I built this campaign expecting there only to be about 2 players show up. Because usually I invite 5 people, 2 of them manage to show up, and we usually cancel because of that. However, this time, I prepared for that, so of course, 5 people show up. Okay, so I'm exaggerating a little bit. I built it for 2, and for a little while we had 4 people. Anyway, back to the story. So, I wound up expecting about 5 people to show up, and I increased the difficulty of the monsters and the number. So we got started. We had 3 mighty warriors going on a quest, deemed the Orthag Challenge. So, the Orthag Challenge takes them to an alternate realm, a reality created by an orc that stole powers from a demon. And he feeds on anyone that dies in his room. So yeah, whole bunch of fun. They all accepted the challenge and went to his room. They began their journey down a corridor and encountered a river. Out of the river crawled 3 crocodiles. Well, our mightiest warrior, the paladin, wound up being eaten by crocodiles. The bard decided that upon seeing the crocodiles, he would run straight in and fight them head on. Yes, a bard fighting 3 crocodiles. He wound up going down and managed to stabilize and survive. Our third hero continues casting the same spell, the Create Bonfire spell. He cast it multiple times, and he wound up down to 1 health point remaining. But he got lucky and wound up killing the crocodiles. So with 1 hero down, 1 stabilized, and 1 almost dead. So while our fallen hero was making a new character, the other 2 continued across the river, where originally I had scripted another conflict, a shadow rising up. Instead of directly continuing the fight, I decided to be a little generous and give them an opportunity to just run past it, avoid conflict altogether. No, the bard has to seduce the shadow, which went surprisingly well. The shadow did not immediately kill him. And after a few personal questions about the shadow's love life, he winds up turning and continuing on. So our heroes reach the first rest stop, a originally designing the campaign, I figured that I'd put the level up at the second rest stop. Well, seeing as how one of them did die and the other two almost died, I figured I'd go ahead and give them their level up. So everybody reached level 2. When they first arrived in this realm, they noticed several other varieties of people that had also accepted the challenge. At this rest stop, there were a few less, so not everyone survived. They had a chance to interact with some of these characters. And of course, as anyone that has ever DM'd knows, if you create a female character, there is an almost guarantee that someone is going to hit on her. So of course, I made a female elf, which they had to go encounter. They had to go talk to, hit on, find out some information, where they learned a little bit more about Orthag and the realm. Finding out that everyone that dies in that realm makes him more powerful. And that there's supposed to be a great reward for anyone that can complete the challenge. Well, our dead hero created a new character that joined in around this point. A dragonborn that carries around a bush to hide in. And apparently he's mental because that bush is his god. So, yeah, that happened. Well, this female elf turns out to be a thief. She tried to steal some gold from the bard. He noticed, and this new dragonborn that showed up decides to take matters into his own hands and executes her for trying to steal. Well, he later winds up going into a person's tent and killing them so that he can take the tent. Amazingly, I put one other dragonborn in that realm, and he managed to choose the one tent that had that dragonborn. So yeah, dragonborn killing dragonborn. Apparently there's only room for one. So they make their rest and they continue on. Well, one of our players wound up trying to climb a wall that was straight up, completely smooth and flat. He tried to climb it. He fell. He died. Not because the fall would have actually killed him, but because he had to leave and go to work. So we killed off his character. Mostly because he needed an excuse to leave. Well, we had a new player arrive around that same point, and while she was making her character, we continued on. Our other two warriors encountered a pair of bears, which they fought and managed to kill. Well, they killed one of them. And from that bear, out comes a female dark elf. And there are cats. They weren't in the story, they're just right behind me. So, they wind up talking with the other bear. Well, attempting to talk. After about 3 different attempts, they managed to talk to the bear. A few more attempts, and I decided to bring up a reference from the very first time that I ever played D&D. Our very first time. Where there wound up being a bear that turned out to be a guy in a suit. His name was Brandon. Brandon the Bear Guy. So, since they were talking to the bear wound up being Brandon the Bear Guy. Not by design, just because it seemed like it'd be fun, and I'm pretty sure several of them were hoping that it would be Brandon, so why not? So Brandon the Bear Guy comes out of his costume and talks to them, and then he goes on his way. Well, they continue on, and they find this nice door with a face on it. The Dragonborn immediately kicks the door. The door gets a little upset, but then tells them that to open it, they need the blood of a bear. Well, the Dragonborn had the blood of the bear on his sword. So, the door licks the blood off the blade. Licks the blood off the blade. Say that 10 times fast. Blood off the blade, blood off the blade, blood off the blade. So they continue on. They reach the next rest area, and there's even less people there. So they spend their night there, and they continue on. Well, from that rest area, there were 2 paths. Well, they decided to split up. 2 of them went down one path, the Dragonborn went down the other. Honestly, I figured he'd die on his own. I really did. Things did not go as planned. He wound up reaching a door. He entered it. Inside was a suit of armor in the middle. A sword on a rack to the left, and a sword on a rack to the right. Well, he immediately attacks the armor. Has no way of knowing that it was animated armor, which it was, and 2 flying swords. He just watches an attack. Well, a few rounds later, instead of these 3 enemies completely killing him, he destroyed every single one of them without a scratch. He goes out of the next door, which connects with the other side. Both of the paths come out at the same point. Well, the other 2 wind up going into a room. There's a weapon rack in the middle containing 3 swords. They stand there looking at the swords and investigating them. 2 of them seem a little bit magical, and the other one is a normal sword. They start trying to find out if there's anything special about the one that does not seem magical in any way. So the other 2 come to life and start trying to kill them. After several rounds, and I really expected it to be a little bit easy for them. After several rounds, they hadn't made much progress. So the Dragonborn busts through their exit door, comes into the room, and gets to start helping them defeat the two swords. After that, they continue on to the final resting area. In this resting area, there's only one survivor remaining. A little halfling that has a surprising amount of alcohol. He is an alcoholic halfling, sitting there drinking, and as they approach, he offers them a celebratory drink. They drink, and then some things happen. The Dragonborn winds up converting this halfling to the way of the bush, and even gave him his own little bush that was in the right size for the halfling. Then the halfling continues giving more alcohol to this Dragonborn. The Dragonborn gets drunk, and our little human, he crawls into the tent with the human and attempts to pierce his ears. With one of them succeeds. The other, well, he only has half an ear now. The human wound up using some more of his magic to singe his ears back so as to avoid bleeding out or having the ear piercing. And will you quit sticking your claws in me? The Dark Elf winds up going over as far from the rest of them as possible. And to make things a little more suspicious about her coming out of a bear, the world actually shifted, giving her a little bit extra room to move even further away from them. So they sleep through the night. They wake up with a couple of hangovers. And they see that a new path has appeared, allowing them to continue. So, this being the Orthag challenge, they find a creature, a large creature, an orc, about 3 times the size of a normal orc, and with shadowy powers. So, as soon as they reach him, he offers an opportunity for one of them to gain his favor, increased power, and a position by his side. And I was a little skeptical because I was pretty sure at least one of them was going to try it. But in order to join him as a sign of loyalty, that one would have to fight the rest. No one took the offer. Orthag attacks and tries to kill the little, still partially drunk halfling. The human jumps in the way, takes the blow, and they continue fighting. An epic battle. Well, it's supposed to be epic. Surprisingly, not as epic as planned. But that's usually what happens. Almost die in the first fight. Barely take any damage in the final boss. So they defeat Orthag, and the world collapses. And they emerge from this world into a tavern. A nice, happy little tavern. And everything from there was just made up on the fly because everyone wanted to continue, and I had not planned anything past Orthag. So from there, I went on and made the stereotypical, there's a town with a bandit problem. Go to the bandit base and kill their leader. So after they appear in this town, the town views them as heroes because they somehow knew that they defeated the Orthag challenge, and that's how they managed to arrive in the town. So they got free drinks, free room, free just about everything. So after they've appeared in this bar, this tavern, they meet a one-armed barmaid. Because the first time that I DM'd, there was a 5-minute town that turned into about 45 minutes. And I had a different player that was a Dragonborn at that time. And he wound up getting into a fight with a barmaid. He ripped off her arm and kept it with the intent of making it into a necklace. Not just the fingers, but the entire arm. So of course, I had to make a one-armed barmaid. Well, the heroes explore the town a little bit, find out about the bandits, and they go north. Well, one of them does, the human. Runs to the north, finds a tiger in a clearing surrounded by bushes. Well, apparently the tiger had been eating the berries and had been pooping. So, this human casts bonfire, or create bonfire, whatever that spell is, in an attempt to attack the tiger. He set some of the bushes on fire, the tiger on fire, and set the poop on fire. Apparently there were some air bubbles inside it because there was an explosion of flaming fecal matter. So now, bushes, tiger, and human all covered in flaming fecal matter. A little bit of fighting. He almost dies because they didn't rest after the Orthag battle. And he had really low armor class. So he returns to town, and they all go to sleep in the inn. As heroes of the Orthag challenge, they got free room. So they continue on and find some bandits. Well, they kill 2 of the bandits and follow the 3rd one back to their base, where there is 1 bandit guard on duty. Well, the female tried to flirt with him. She failed horribly. So the human male tried to flirt with him and managed to succeed. Everyone had mixed feelings about that. So they convinced him to let him in. They came back later that night. They came in. One of the other bandits found them and offered them a job, seeing as they could get into places that they weren't supposed to be. Well, while they were going to see the bandits' captain, the human sets fire to the tent. The tent burns down, and the two bandit captains run out. They fight and manage to kill them. The fire spreads, and all the remaining bandits flee, jumping over the wall, running out the gate, everything possible to escape, to avoid dying. But of course, the Dragonborn had to start shooting lightning at everyone, killed about 6 more people. And then they leveled up. Everyone was happy. And by that time, it was around 7 o'clock, so we called it a day. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video of the story of me DMing. I think everything went well. Everybody had fun. And right now it looks like I'm going to be DMing again next Sunday. So, leave a comment and leave a comment on any advice, any recommendations for some type of encounter, NPC, quest, anything. And some of it I may build off of. Some of it I may just directly use as is. And keep an eye out for more.